Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a what I read in January. Now for some of you guys who have been around the channel, you're probably like, wait, what? Because I don't really like publicize it, but I actually am a huge reader. I love to read, and so I thought it would be fun for 2026 to kind of bring some book content to the YouTube channel. I'll talk about what I read every month, just so you guys can maybe get some ideas, get some inspo, just like insight into what I've been into recently. So let's just get right into it. So I've got my iPad here because if you guys didn't know, which you probably didn't because I never talk about it, is I actually love reading books on my Kindle. Therefore, I don't actually own a lot of physical books, so I need my iPad to remember what I read. But anyways, I read 10 books in January. Let's just get right into it. I also have been trying to write reviews on every single book, so I have like an idea. Oh wait, the first book I read I actually do own. The first book I read this month was The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. It's basically a fantasy like sci-fi about this girl who is in a camp for kids who have like special abilities, because the government is trying to like kind of wipe them all out and take them out of population. Basically, like all the kids got sick with disease, and then the ones that like didn't get sick have like magic powers. And there's like different color levels based on how dangerous your power is. So the most dangerous is red, and she's an orange. And a lot of the oranges at her camp were killed, but she hid and pretended she was green, which is a lot less dangerous of a level. And then she basically escapes, and she finds herself on the run with these two boys and this girl who doesn't speak, and it's kind of following them in their adventure as they try and escape the government. I rated this at 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty good, but it was kind of boring at first. Like, it took me a while to get into the book, but the ending was like really good. But I kind of hate when books do that, because it's like, just because the ending's really good doesn't mean I want to continue the series, because I didn't like the writing for like 50% of the book. But honestly, it was like a pretty interesting book. I feel like if you really like that kind of like Hunger Games, magic, sci-fi, dystopian kids genre, you might like this. Because I thought it was like a good concept, but I just felt like the beginning was really slow and really boring. And I didn't really get invested in the characters until later. And then that's when I was like, because the ending, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is not happening. The next book I read was The Rose Bargain. Now, I rated this a 4.25 stars. This book was one of the few books I've had in a while. Like, now that I've been reading for so long, it takes a lot for a book to get me to like not want to stop reading. And that was this book for me. Like, I was grinding. I probably stayed up to like 12 a.m. reading this book because I literally could not put it down. I was like, I need to know what happens next. Like, this book is about a girl who her family get to go and get engaged at this like ball thing. But when her sister went to go get engaged, it like turned out to be this like huge mess, and it basically brought scandal upon their family. So now it's her turn to go to this ball and like find her husband. And she ends up getting involved in the prince's marriage because he is the one that wants a wife this season. She ends up signing her life away to participate in this competition. And basically, if she doesn't win him, she doesn't get a husband at all, which she doesn't really care about. She's just in it to try to like bring her family some money, some standing again, because they kind of really had a hard time since her sister kind of failed. She goes into this competition. It's very much like selection-esque, and there's like competitions between the girls, and they kind of get like voted off. But the queen is the one who's in charge, and she's a fairy. And so she's over here like trying to kind of control everything and like make sure like she only gets the best girl for her son. But she ends up falling in love with the prince's brother, who's helping her out. And it turns out that the prince is not who he seems to be. Too good. It was so good. First of all, I love me a little like forbidden romance, like fantasy. Like, I just eat that up every single time. Like, it gets me. I don't know, like this book was just really good. It combined a lot of elements that I really liked when it comes to like the pacing and then like also the competitions, but then it kind of like goes into a little bit more of a deeper conflict, and then you get like more lore as you go on about like the characters and what their motives actually are. And so I feel like it goes a lot deeper than just like a surface level like competition, because sometimes I feel like they have those like competition themed books where it's like they're like competing for something, and then it's just like kind of falls off. Powerless. The next book I read was Heartless Hunter. I rated this a 3.5. Another thing y'all should know about me is that I am a very harsh rater. I very rarely rate books 5 stars, and I typically rate books in the 3-star range. So if 3 stars is pretty good, in my opinion. This book was interesting. It's basically about this girl. She's known as the Crimson Moth, but like the people don't actually know she's the Crimson Moth, because the Crimson Moth, she's a witch, and all the witches have been banned. But she tries to like smuggle them out, basically, with using her own powers. But because she's kind of like in society, like people don't really suspect her, and she has like friends who kind of help her out and stuff like that. But things take a turn for the worse, as they always do, when she decides to court the leader of the witch hunting guard in order to gain secrets and try and save another witch. Now we all know where this is going, of course. And he kind of falls in love with her, and they kind of are doing this like tango of like, like we like each other, but we're low-key enemies, but we don't know we're enemies, and it's like this whole thing. And then, you know, you've also had the main side plot of her trying to save these people, but she's kind of like rushing and like making decisions, and it gets a little hairy. To be honest, this is like the kind of fantasy romance I don't really like as much. I like the forbidden aspect, but it's just so dragged out to me, because it's like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they? And it's like, obviously they will. Why else would I be reading the book? So to me, it just like gets like to a point where I'm just like bored, because it's like, why are you acting like you don't like each other when you obviously do? Like, it was enjoyable, but it's just not my favorite type of like thing. I will not be continuing the series. Next, I read Thorn Season. I rated this a 4-star, which is pretty good. This is very similar to the one I was just talking about, but I just enjoyed it so much better, which is very interesting. It's a similar vibe where the girl has like this magic, like specter power thing that she's not supposed to have. Her father's like in the nobility, so she's kind of been able to like fly under the radar, but she's not like helping people. She's kind of just like hiding while other people that she knows of are like getting killed. She basically finds herself in the like debutante season and having to like kind of court people, but she doesn't really want to like marry anybody. And then there's a foreign ambassador that has powers, and it's kind of just a lot of like political fantasy drama. It was just very enjoyable. Like, this is the kind of thing I like, because it wasn't so much focused on like, oh my goodness, like will they, won't they? It was more kind of focused on like, and it had a little bit of that in there, like a little bit of like the tension of like, oh, we like each other, but we don't really know each other. But it was more interesting because it was focused a lot more on like the fantasy aspect of the story and like the politics of the kingdoms and like what was going on and how she kind of like got involved in it. Next, I read Heartsick by Christina Forrest, and this one I gave a 3.5 stars. It was basically about this girl who works at this like healing heart center, and basically they've created this pill that can like heal any heartbreak. But suddenly, like, the pill has been having, like, weird side effects. And someone speaks out about it, but then they, like, recant their statement. But the company is, like, basically threatening people and, like, making them sign NDAs. And so she kind of wants to be a journalist, so she goes on this expose with her ex-boyfriend to go and try and figure it out. And they kind of, like, fall back in love on the way. This was a cute little romance. I enjoyed this, and I liked how it wasn't just solely romance. I love when there's, like, a little bit of more of, like, a plot, and it's like more of a realistic fiction with a romance. I really do like realistic fiction, and I just feel like I don't get enough of it in books. So I love when I get like a realistic fiction with a hint of romance. I think that's like perfect. This was definitely more romance heavy, of course, because it's called Heartsick, but I thought it was really cute. I think it's a cute little like YA romance novel vibe, and I would definitely recommend. Next, I read The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, and I gave this 3 stars. See, this was another one where it was kind of like, I thought I would enjoy it more, but I didn't. The aspect of them like wanting each other the whole time, but then like pretending like they didn't, it just like gets on my nerves. The girl Hallie meets Jack at his sister's wedding, and his ex basically goes crazy on her, and he ends up dumping his ex at the wedding. Then they kind of strike up this weird friendship when they find each other on this dating app, because they're both looking for love. And they decide, okay, we'll see who can get like a partner first, like who can win and basically find someone on this app first. So they kind of like go back and forth, and like they're hanging out, but they kind of slowly fall in love with each other as it goes. I really prefer when it's not so much miscommunication and it's more of like a story of them like kind of falling in love, rather than like a, ha, I win. And then it's like they went to Hallie's sister's wedding, I believe, and they like were like the fake dates or whatever in front of her ex. And it's just like, why are we acting like they like, we're like, oh, let's fake it to the max. But then it's like, we actually don't like each other. No, like it was fun, but it was just not as fun as I hoped. Next, I read 7 for a Secret by Mary E. Roach. I gave this a 2 star. I did not enjoy this. This book was so weird. It was basically about these girls who lived in this like home, and then they had to leave because there was a bunch of like allegations and like murders that happened. Like half the girls in this home ended up getting murdered, and they like suspected these men in the community. So this girl decides to go back and like find her sisters, but she's like very anxious about it. She doesn't really like being back there. She's with her other friend from the home who she hasn't spoken to in years, but is also uncovering this story for her like newspaper job. And it was just very odd. I did not like it. I thought the buildup of the characters was bad. I did not care about any of the characters. And it was just like the way it was written did not make it enjoyable. Like I could not enjoy the story because I literally was like confused. And the main character was just like very unlikable. I just was kind of like... And then the plot twist at the end was kind of just like, okay. Like I was like, oh. Like I was kind of like... But then I was like, wait, I actually don't care. I was like, I really just don't care, because the thing is they didn't make me care enough about the girls in the story to the point where I cared about like the plot twist at the end. So I just felt like it was kind of, the whole thing just kind of fell flat for me. See, look how passionate I am about when I don't like a book, because I can really remember it. Next I read Red as Royal Blood by Elizabeth Hart, and I gave this a 3.75 stars. It's kind of like Inheritance Games meets Royal Family. So basically this girl, she's a servant in the castle, and suddenly the king dies. And it turns out the king left his entire like crown and rulership to her. So she's now the queen, basically. She has no idea what she's doing. And there's 3 brothers that are like in line for the throne that she basically stole it from. And she's actually friends with one of the brothers already because she knew him for a while. They would like play games in the palace underneath everyone's back. And then the other one, she's had a crush on forever, but he low-key hates her. And then the other one's just like this weird little kid. She basically has to try and figure out who murdered the king, because the king leaves her a note telling her that he suspects someone murdered him on purpose. And so we kind of just go through like the battle of like, who can she trust? Can she trust the brothers? Can she trust the one she's known all her life? Is the angry one that seems to hate her really that angry at her? And it's kind of like twisty and turny. And honestly, it was pretty good. I enjoyed. I feel like it's definitely very Inheritance Games-esque, like with the inheritance and like kind of the puzzling, but it's not so much like puzzles as it is like royal drama and like kind of like the fantasy element of like your allies versus your enemies. Next I read 7 Deadly Thorns, and I gave this a 3 stars. So this book is about a girl who goes to this school, but the school is in a castle that is entrapped by this like dark magic basically, and they can't leave this bubble of a castle because this is where like the whole entire like population lives, because they can't live in this dark magic like energy. It's like toxic. It's like poisonous gas basically. So they're like stuck in this little kingdom. And she has shadow magic, but you're not supposed to have shadow magic anymore. Like, shadow magic is what caused this dark thing. So they're trying to hunt her and find her down and kill her. But she's been hiding her powers, of course. And unfortunately, the queen finds out. And so she gets a target put on her back. The queen's son is the assassin sent to kill her. But instead, he spares her life and decides to try and help her break this curse, because he's basically cursed. If he doesn't kill her, he himself will be killed. So he's trying to break the curse, and so they kind of start like fake dating so that she can like work around the royal queen and not get killed. And it's kind of dealing with like the family drama. I think the idea was there, but it kind of suffered from when I feel like I'm reading a book and I'm really enjoying it, and then it kind of like switches vibes at the end, and I don't like the vibe that they switched to. Because at the end it got into this like fight, and it was like powers, and I was just kind of like, okay. Like I kind of preferred like the school drama, like when they were just like at school and it was like drama with her and her friends. I really enjoyed that part of the book, which is like the first like 50%, and then like the last 50% kind of got into like the like more fight the queen and like the queen is evil, blah blah blah. And I was just kind of like, the final book I read was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I gave this a 3 stars. And I know the movie is coming out soon, and basically the reason I actually read this book is because my school has this book club. I'm not actually in the book club, but they told me that like she'll tell us like what books they're reading, my teacher, and of course I had to like try it out and read it, but it took like 5 months to come into my library on my Kindle, because that online library wait times are no joke. I had already read The Martian by Andy Weir, and I didn't really love the writing. Like it just was kind of long to me. So I didn't really love Project Hail Mary as much as like I kind of was hoping to. It's basically about this scientist, and he wakes up from a coma and he's on a ship. but he doesn't remember what he's doing there or how he got there. And he kind of like starts waking up from this coma, and we kind of start to see like what happened. And basically the sun is like running out of energy because of these like astrophages that are like somehow eating the sunlight. And he was sent along with 2 other crewmates who died in transit to try and fix this problem. And so now he's alone, and he's trying to figure out what happened to the sun. And while he's out there, he meets an alien, and they become friends. And honestly, like, low-key, the ending was kind of good. Like, I've really enjoyed the ending and stuff, but the like long science rants and like in-depth talking about Mars, and I was so glad that there was an alien friend in this one, because in The Martian it was just the guy by himself, and I was really bored. Like, it kind of got really boring. It's very hard to make a book interesting when there's only one main character. So I was really glad we had another main character in this book that was like actually relevant to the plot, because they always have like these like Earth parallels where it kind of like in this book it was like flashbacks to Earth, but it's like you don't really care as much about those characters because like that's not really like, it's like the past, like it's not what you're actually reading about. So I was really glad about the alien, and it kind of makes me want to go see the movie. Anyways, those were the 10 books that I read in January. If you have read any of those books, let me know. And if you have any books that I should read next month, also let me know, because I will definitely take suggestions. And if you guys like this book content, let me know and I can make more. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys maybe found a book that sounds interesting to you, or just enjoyed hearing me talk about the books. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.